Welcome back. For those who've been here before, for those that are new, welcome to Good Earners Reviewing the Sopranos. We're here. Uh, we are reviewing the Sopranos, and we talk about family, finessing, finances, and feelings in the world of Tony Soprano, bringing you a new perspective, a fly perspective, and most importantly, a black perspective. Spike Lou, how you doing, bro?
What up, Mo? Happy to be back.
Yeah,
Get about it in full effect. Great
yeah,
job last week. You guys holding it down.
yes, sir. I said
Entertaining.
we had to get I said we had to get our version of Furio. We had to go
Very.
overseas and had to go get our version
Bringing
over
the
there.
hit, man.
And shouts out
Like
to
you did a
Big
great job, man.
yeah, shouts out to Big Rich, man. I know you're listening, bro. Shouts out to you, bro. You did that. This dude is different. Like he's real different with the detail.
Did a good
um,
job on it, man.
yeah, but glad to have you back, bro. What episode are we reviewing today?
This is season 2, episode 3, Toodle fucking ooh. In this episode, man, we are graced with the presence of a new pseudo soprano member. We're going to see where it falls out. Richie April is in the building. We see on some previous beefs that he had and tries to capitalize on before he went into Bing. The episode opens up with Meadow throwing a party in the grandmother's old home, and Tony really not liking that. And also, we find out that on her own, Dr. Melfi is seeing a psychiatrist and is really bothered on how she thinks that professional wall is breaking down between her and Tony, because when he left, she hit him with the Toodle fucking ooh. This is season 2, episode 3, Toodle fucking ooh.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that synopsis. So our
Mm-hmm.
first scene, as Spike said in the synopsis, Tony pulls up to Meadows' party. Looks like the party got shut down. This is a classic, classic 90s, 2000 vibe. You hear the Ja Rule playing in the background, loving it.
This year, yeah, this season is set. This is the first season set in 2000.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
this was
And
the first season. Yeah, anything else was 90s. The
yeah,
1900s, as the kids like
the
to say.
1900,
The late 1900s.
sidebar, I heard a dude say for us that was born anywhere before 2000, anybody that was born 2000 and on, they don't even exist to us. He's like, you born? Nah, you ain't. You the same age. Everybody born 2000 up, they the same age to
The
us.
same age. That makes sense. That makes a lot of
But
sense to me.
yeah, we get a classic 2000s party. Looks like it got shut down. Tony pulls up. I love how instant they drop right in here. But Tony pulls up. Police say, "Hey, yo, look, somebody OD'd up in here." I pull some strings, and so Tony goes in and pretty much gets Meadow together. What did you gather from this intro? Them dropping us right in the middle of something.
Letting us know how spoiled Meadow is, how she gets away with murder. Like she said, it wasn't my fault.
Oh,
Tony said, if I had a whatchamacallit, I could have a jet. I'd a dollar for every time I heard you say that. Since you could talk, I'd have a jet.
man.
Um, Shows how he has a soft spot for Meadow,
Yeah, yeah,
well, way more so than AJ, as we would see play off when he took him home. He was willing to let her stay up or not push the bed. And AJ, he was right on his head as soon as he said something. So, yeah, it just shows how he has a soft spot for his daughter.
yeah. It's as a parent, you got to understand that there's some moments my blood is boiling. Like watching
Mm-hmm.
this, it's like, yo, who are you? You know what I mean? But it kind of speaks to the theme I believe this season is it's someone else's fault. I believe that's the theme I'm pulling so far. The first season, like I said, they were more so wanting something else, but this right here to me feels more like it's someone else's fault, and so we get that line over and over. It's not my fault. I mean, I don't know why. I guess I'm not trying to over deep think about it. I just never understood why she kept saying it's not my fault. I get like teenagers get immature and keep saying it, but Meadows it just kind of seemed like she a little smarter than that, but maybe the end ties back to that. I don't know. Maybe you can clue me in when we get there, but it's just her saying it's not my fault because of where things escalated. Kind of like, okay, it's not fully my fault, but then later she kind of says it again. How many times do I got to tell you? Like, but we'll get there. But it
What was
just
your question? What was you saying? You don't
I
see
just
why.
how much of it is just Meadows? So how much of this is a 16-year-old ignorance that we all been there before? We say it's not my fault and really lean on it, and then how much of it is it just I don't know. It just seemed weird to me. It's just like a weird choice for her to keep saying that she's kind of smarter than that at the 16-year-old age. Like her already know her dad's in the mafia. You know what I mean? I feel like she's just a little smarter than just saying it's not my fault. Clearly, some of it's your fault.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, I do know what you mean. I think if you really examine, like if you're going deep on it, like you're saying, Tony's like that, right? Like
Okay.
nothing's really ever his fault. He can
Yeah.
always, when he's sitting there talking to Dr. Melfi, it's always because of this, because of that. He never
Hmm.
really owns up to his shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if David Chase or the writers were looking at that as she as her
Okay.
being a reflection of the bad things that she picking up from Tony. Because he
Oh, okay.
definitely takes the same approach
Yeah, that's
throughout
a
the
fact.
series, yeah, the show. So I think that's kind of it too. And again, showing that he has a soft spot for her. Like
Yeah.
Meadow is the queen. She really can do no wrong, even more so than Carmela.
Yeah. This is
Princess, I would say. Yeah,
yeah. This
princess.
this is this is true, and an interesting lighting choice too. It was all like dark and gruesome with like a candle burning or something. I don't know. Somebody who's deep into this can probably explain or shoot us something on IG. But it looked like they were going for something there. But I don't know. But it was just an interesting choice. But Tony takes Meadow and Hunter home, and he's going off in the car. This is great. This is just great. Let me continue. This is great. So that he's just going off in the car, but she's sitting there and she's flipping the lid just like Tony. So you're making a great point because he's like, they say you're like your mother, but you're all me. Which we got. I think we got that in the first season. That
Yeah.
whole little drunken stupor thing. They said sometimes we're all hypocrites, and I think that ties into it as well. But like, so Tony, they pull up to the Sopranos house, walk in, and Carmela, throws her jabs out there. Tony throws his jabs out there. AJ, being the little dweeb that he is, wants in on seeing his sister get this
Yeah,
disciplinary
he in
action.
too, right.
This is so funny. What you gather? I know it was a small scene at the Soprano house, but what did you gather from the party to this scene going to the Soprano house?
Just the differences in again how Meadow is treated and how AJ is treated. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in Tony's eyes, and of course we'll see this play out throughout the series, but AJ is a little fuck up. What are you even doing? Like, get your little ass out of here. Versus he gives Meadow a lot of benefit of the doubt of, that's my baby girl, and she's smart, and I think he puts a lot more onus and trust in Meadow than he does in AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Carmela is completely opposite. I don't think she don't put it in either one of them.
So let me ask you this: Tony says Meadow is all him. Does that make AJ all Carmela?
No, I don't think so.
Or it
I
is
don't see AJ and see Carmela. I think she even tougher than AJ. I don't know where AJ get this shit from.
you don't think? Because here's what I be thinking sometimes. I think that there's a whole nother side. We get later two Tonys, right? Episode called Two Tonys, and you say there's another side you don't know. I feel like AJ is like the complete other side of Tony. Like, because he says like Meadows all him, but I think that's all of the witty, clever, get how to survive in America is Italian side. But I think there's a whole nother side, like the metaphor. If I was selling patio furniture, the regular Anthony, so to speak. I almost feel like AJ might be that whole other version of Tony. We don't get that except later down with the dream sequence, the hospital stuff, and because it's like he got to get it from somewhere. No kid is born and they have a totally nothing, DNA wise connected to either parent. But I don't know. It's so you just feel like
he ain't a reflection of either one of them to me.
yeah. I
Maybe the
don't know.
grandma. So, well, I don't know. I just
Well, that's not a bad one.
or maybe the part of Tony, like the therapy part, the part that feels like he needs Dr. Melfi to fix something.
Mm-hmm.
That part of him, like that's like the only part that I pick up is the anxiety part, the part that Tony is focusing on with Melfi. That's the only thing I see AJ taking from.
What
Because even
about
on the regular working part, remember that'd be getting too far ahead. But I don't think that he even is successful at that.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
I almost try to look at many saints and kind of try to see if I can see some connection there. That's the only place we get a real young Tony other than Down Neck and like another flash back later down the road. But I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I think as we continue to get more development, maybe we'll see some more similarities. But at this stage, it's definitely pretty premature. But Meadow says that she says I could have done ecstasy, but I didn't.
could have done ecstasy,
Foreshadowing. They're so good at like keeping all of these notes. Um,
Yeah.
what is a designer drug? I hear this a lot in TV. I heard it in Raising Cane and hear it here. What do they mean designer drug? I think even the first season when Mikey Palmisi, they threw the drug dealer over the bridge because of the designer drug that he sold a teenager
Yeah,
and he
it's like
committed suicide.
ecstasy, Molly,
Oh,
stuff
okay.
like that.
Just like
Party
man-made
drugs.
drug type deal.
Yeah, ecstasy, Molly, stuff of that nature. Cocaine. Those are
Mm,
designer drugs, high end drugs.
wow.
Yeah.
Make it sound so nice. We uh we go over to the introduction to, man, I got so much from this
Richie fucking
episode.
April.
Richie April. And interestingly enough, he's dropped off at by Patsy's Pizza Place. That's probably not the exact name, but he's dropped off here, but he's dropped off by his niece, Adriana. Interesting reveal here. Um, and so, but we're gonna bounce back a little bit because they kind of cut scenes back and forth. So we just right here, we just kind of get a quick drop off. I don't know if you want to elaborate anyway with just the drop off because we didn't. Okay, we'll keep pushing forward. So he's walking over to Patsy's, and then we pan back over to Carm and Tony, and what an interesting conversation. I know you're not a parent, but I feel like I feel like you would have seen some interesting like perspective with this. What did you gather from this scene, the discipline, conversation when you start to have an older child? What you gather from this, bro?
They right. Like, what could they do? What the fuck? Why would But we got to be smart enough to know how to play it. Well, that
Mm-hmm.
ain't the case. She got to feel like she losing something. However, I think Meadow was smart enough to know that.
Okay,
Like, Meadow, once girls mature way faster than boys.
that's
So
a
even
fact.
in the sense of she's probably now like an asset to the household. She can drive, she can pick AJ up, she can do these
Mm,
different things. You know what I'm saying? Is
asset,
that they don't got to be tied to the house. So if she's on punishment now, we take a car, we
man.
take these things. Now I gotta go pick her up. Now I gotta pay these bills with my credit card instead of her worrying about it with her. It's just small shit.
Yeah,
But she got them by the balls, but they don't want her to know. So they right. It was an
man.
interesting conversation that they know it and how to curtail to that. Do you feel that as a parent already
I'm
with your daughter?
I'm not at that stage yet. Thankfully, I'm not at that
You
stage
still
yet.
fear you.
Yeah, it's always been a thing. Like when I told you when I worked at the school, it was like when I realized they had us by the balls. Like I had no discipline as far as sending you to the office or your parent come pick you up and they send you back to class. That feeling right there is horrible. So like your own child is like, man. So yeah, they hit this on the nose. I thought of some interesting things that stood out. Carm says that there has to be consequences, and what kind of parents would we be? But it's interesting that he makes a living off of finessing people with no consequences, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I thought her saying that was very interesting because your whole lifestyle is provided by getting over with no consequences. Even last season, that during the wedding, she was like acting like there couldn't have been a consequence right there for the Rico. I mean, or not the Rico, but the I can't remember what what Uncle Junior got locked up for. Y'all know what I mean. But
When he got
she act like
indicted.
yeah, the indictments. But she act like there couldn't be no consequences. Like they're gonna come on a Sunday or they're gonna come on this day. Like, so I thought that was an interesting statement. The specific thing that she said uh about the liability of it all is like, as a parent today, you are over a barrel. No matter what you do, you take away her car, you become her chauffeur. You ground them, you got to stay home weekends and be prison guard. And if you throw her out, the social, and then Tony says, if you throw her out, the social services will bring her back and we be in front of a judge. She's not 18 yet. I was
Said
like,
throw it
yeah, that
out.
like, cause you don't know what else to do. It's like, man, I felt them. Like you talk about like the pillow talk scenes between them. This was one of the most enlightening things that I feel like they really made a lot of parents think that was probably parents at the time. Just it was crazy. Like this was a great conversation. But he says, let's not overplay our hand. If she finds out we're powerless, it's over. Like, ugh. So then we pan back over to our man. Oh man, it's so much I got this time that I didn't never got before for some reason. Richie goes, we pan back over to Richie. He's at Patsy's, pizza joint. He at Patsy's Pizza Hut. We're gonna call it that. And they're having a conversation, and Patsy, he's feeling good, kind of like, hey man, what's going on and stuff, and acting like he didn't know that he was out. He says, that's funny. Paulie told me you talked to him earlier. This is an interesting little detail that Paulie runs his mouth. That's just a little thing that I pulled from that.
Just
but
to start, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great little off camera nugget. So he tells him, man, that's funny. You seen Paulie earlier, and he said that you knew this, and he going on that he brings him, the waiter brings him a coffee over. It's not even full, it's not even fresh. He tells him, like, basically go get him a veal parm sandwich. He's going through all of these, like, kind of like look out. And I guess Richie was in the can for 10 years. What are some things that you gathered here? I definitely gathered a few different pieces just from, let me ask this. When you first seen Richie, this is a great moment. When you first seen Richie back in the day, what did you think of him? Cause as a character, on the introduction to him, like when he first came on the scene back then versus how you think of him now?
It's hard to remember. I know my now thought process of him, it will take probably some precedence, but I mean, I thought he was a piece of shit. Like, even like to let me out, like the reason that he even told Adriana to let him out is because he knew he was finna shake Patsy down. Like, it had been on his mind. He said in there for like 10 years. So just holding on to that, Patsy don't even look like he in the game, like really like that. I mean, almost like a arty type dude. And for Richie to be going this strong and going this hard on him, it let me know that Richie was going to be a problem. Like, nobody was really going to be able to tell him what to do. I remember thinking back, I thought that he was probably try to challenge Tony, because that's your man's brother.
Yeah,
Jackie, the boss, the former Jackie's brother. So he may have been, in line if he hadn't gotten locked up. So I feel like that originally coming in, that he would be somebody that maybe challenged Tony and be the antagonist for season 2. He cracked his ass with that coffee.
Oh my gosh! Talk about
Richie ain't shit, man.
Bro.
And how he beat him up.
I think. Well, okay. So when the first few times I watched this, like, I couldn't stand it. But when I really looked at this scenario and kind of got more detail, I kind of felt where Richie was coming from. I still think he was over the top. Nah. But here's why. Patsy was his drug bull. So Patsy was a hustler. We talked about that on Another Week in the Books, where it's like you ain't necessarily got to be like a killer or a thug, but just to be like a hustler, a drug dealer. So that all Patsy was the drug dealer. He wasn't in that thing of theirs. He's nowhere near that. That's not even that. So that's why Richie's looking at him like, you want to act tough now. And so he says, 10 years, you never came to visit? Because I imagine,
fuck you.
Nah, because I
gotta come see you.
Nah, because I think they had more of a relationship than that. Like, I think Patsy's gonna say some stuff later. Was like, yo, basically, like, it ain't my fault. I did this with my money versus y'all. But I think it was more of a like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, if we had an understanding, like, and then a part of it is Richie's out of pocket because he's still operating from the old school. He thinks it should be a certain way, and he was that guy back then. We'll find out, like, Richie has real bad anger problems, which is why we'll get to the yoga and the meditation he talked about. Because he was calm. He was trying to stay calm here, but Patsy was acting completely like he didn't know what time it was, bro. You coming here, I'm coming out of prison. You one of the first people I visit. You want to give me a veal parm sandwich, and you want to give me...
You know why, though, right?
What?
He paying Tony. Like, I'm good. Like, you're literally a nobody. You've been gone for 10 years. Whatever you had going on or coming out, you need to take that up with Tony. I've been kicking up to Tony. I've been paying him whatever dues that he took over for you. I'm good in the hood, bro. Like, any politics that you need to figure out, pickups that you think you ain't got, you need to take it up with your boss. So that's what Patsy was. That's what he was on that like that.
Yeah. But
Ain't no independent payments, my nigga. Like fuck
he
off.
don't he don't owe him. Like that's be clear. Like he don't owe him no pay.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what Richie was coming in thinking. Like, bro, why
yeah,
I ain't cut in on the pizza joints and
yeah,
you getting
yeah,
money or like, bro, I'm paid. I didn't pay my dues, my nigga. I'm currently paying them.
yeah,
It's how why he was carrying himself with that swag. It wasn't like fuck you or nothing like that. It was more
yeah.
so like, nigga, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You coming over here asking for extra, trying to be a bully.
Right.
As far as Beasley was concerned.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Beasley should have kind of like played it off and then went to Tony. I think he overplayed his hand because he said, I won't stand for this. I'll step up. And you're acting like a tough guy, and he can't put his hands on Richie. He's a made guy, so he could never. That's why I was like, bro, you got a little comfortable knowing like I got Tony Soprano backing me, and he should have never
he had
played
to
him.
let it be known he wasn't no bitch though. Like that, he was
But you
thinking, you
are.
know what I'm saying?
You
But
are.
still, you can't be no bitch. He
But
might be a bitch, but you can't like act like a bitch.
I mean,
Else
he runs a
niggas gonna
piece
come
of
in there and take.
plays.
But I'm
Like,
saying niggas gonna come in there and take everything from him. If Richie know he can come in there and get off like that, he might send his young boys in there to get him. Like that. Now it's a never-ending cycle. Now I gotta pay Tony. Now I gotta pay you. Now I gotta pay whoever else you send in here.
But
he
he's
gotta put
just
his foot down.
But he's an ex-drug dealer. Like he's not about none of that. Like you got Tony Soprano and all of those, all them guys running with you.
He still can't be a pushover though, bro. Like he still can't let Richie come in there and like just demand no money. It can't be, oh well, let me talk to Tony, because then Tony it's gonna come off funny. You know what I'm saying? Like you at least got to be able to hold your own. You paying the mob for protection if you've tried to hold your own and you can't. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just, oh, I'm gonna run straight to Tony. You can't do that.
You don't understand though. When I was paying attention, no, here's why I'm saying I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying, what's being missed is, Richie was crazier back in the day before he went into prison. Like that's what's understood. They start kind of giving these breadcrumbs. Essex County, they'll get to that part later down the road, but like other things, and even him having comments, he was a real crazy nigga back then. So it's like he said, I did a lot of meditating.
All the more reason why I can't just lay down for you, because I know you crazy.
Man, look, it wasn't worth it because this nigga lose. Like he read, we will get there, but anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I think Richie was out of pocket, but I do think that when he came on the scene, man, this man, his eyes, bro. You talk about intimidating. He got these crazy looking eyes, bro. I was like, a known fact, the gentleman that plays him, he actually went out for the role of Tony Soprano, and they said that kind of like he was too perfect for the role. He fit kind of it too much. And so they were looking for something a little different, which eventually, and then of course, ironically enough, the brother Jackie also went out for the role of Tony Soprano, but they ended up going with late great James Gandolfini. So, but I thought that was really interesting, and I don't think he's played this tough in anything prior. So he came in here and he nailed this.
I ain't never even seen him in nothing else.
Yeah, that's
you just seen him in something else.
I mean, I've seen like clips now online, like when they celebrate him and stuff, but. Shouts out to David Chase for keeping it in the family, man. He got mostly Italian actors, dude. Like I respect that totally. I'm like, yo, he put on. Mm-hmm. We go over to the Soprano house. It's now morning time. Carm and Tony having some small talk before the kids get downstairs, trying to figure out what to do. Still pondered over that thought, and then eventually we get Meadow comes downstairs, and we get Janice come on the scene. And what did you take from this morning conversation right here?
Janice was the most affected by guilt tripping her. Like she can't believe she did this and this and that, just questioning her character. Mm-hmm. Like you said, she was still hanging on. I didn't do anything. Yeah, she just pleading for their sympathy. You know what I'm saying? You're doing this is the exact same thing that Tony does in Dr. Melfi's office. All the excuses, well, this because of this and this because of this. Like she's just a smaller version of Tony. Mm-hmm. Like it's always something else. And I just feel like that's why he had a soft spot for it. That's why she gets over on them. Very underrated in her character profile, like how much she acts like Tony. Like she's very, very manipulative.
She
know how to play the buttons, man.
She could. If Janice had a crew, she would probably be better. But that was what me and Rich talked about last week. She can't finesse on the same level as Tony because I think we spoke about the fact that because she was a woman, she could, and it wasn't it wasn't that norm, like woman's, being in the mafia, running it, like all that. So like she couldn't, what she's good at, she couldn't actually do. Versus Tony, what he's good at, he can do, which is being in the mob, making those rackets, and really, taking care of the family on both ends. Janice, she uses a quote from Zunis, says that for every 20 mistakes a kid makes, ignore 19. And Tony says there's an old Italian phrase: you fuck up once, you lose two teeth. Like, I was like, yo, if that don't sound like something in a black household, bro, I swear.
Yeah, I do.
What did you think about Janice said that y'all push independence but get mad at her choice? What you think about that? Does it fit the bill here? Because it's like, okay, they do push independence, and they do let her go and drive on her own, and kind of
right.
X out her own things, but then y'all mad at her having this party. Does that fit the bill, or was she off track there?
I mean, she a little off track.
Okay.
Like, just because you're independent don't mean you got to go throw a party, a rager at your grandma's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, their hands were tied. She really was able to negotiate a great punishment for the situation that she was in. Meadow is, probably the smartest person in that house, even at junior year in college, junior year in high school.
Yeah, that's crazy. I like that they're like trying to figure it out in real time. It just felt very organic and true to life to me. This is just another great thing Sopranos does. Is like how y'all are able to capture the characters thinking in real time, and almost like it's like they're not even on a script. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it's like we're on the inside of you guys' life, but it's actually scripted. It's amazing how we see it all the time with Tony going through his thought patterns without speaking a word, and even Carmela at moments. So, but I thought that was cool. Meadow says that she has stopped hanging with the newspaper Steve, and says it's painful to talk about, and Carm kind of sees an opening to build. And this is interesting because Carm and Meadow's relationship is just always really weird. I don't know if it's a mother-daughter thing, what that is with them two, or maybe because she's like Tony, I don't know. But Carm tries to see kind of an open, like, oh, I didn't know you stopped talking to Steve. And then she kind of dropped it there. And then we know that Meadow basically finesses her punishment. She's like, I think I should do this. I can't believe they did that. Like, they should have adjusted it based on that almost. Like, I don't know. They should have did something else. Cause I was like, there's just no way you got to tell me. Because if you got that, you've been planning this all week, son. You know what I mean?
Got what?
She tried to finesse the punish. Yeah, so you get like
she did
10.
Finesse it. It wasn't no coup. Try. She did.
Well, she did, but I'm like, to them, I'm like, bro, if you're gonna let her get that off, you should have like modified it from there. It's like, oh, okay, you know what? That's a good idea. Instead, though, boom, we're gonna do it this way. So she got it off all the way, and I was like, oh man, I should have put her, because she already thought about it, obviously. So she got that off. That's crazy.
I like the way she walked off. We've seen Tony walk off like that a couple of times throughout the series. It was a Tony Soprano walk off, and goes to what I'm saying. Like, she is a Tony Jr.
Yes.
After she realized she got over on him. Stroll off was
we go over to we see Tony sees Richie at Saks Real's, and this is the first time we see them two connecting with one another. They do this great embrace, grabbing each other's face, which is very interesting. I imagine this is probably a normal thing, but weirdly enough, I almost feel like them grabbing each other's face was kind of a symbolization of a power struggle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got my hand on your face, like I'm in control, but vice versa. No, I'm in control. Like, I think it's a symbolic, because I don't see that often where two characters grab each other's face like this. So I thought it was interesting, and the love that Tony had for Richie. You know, he was a young boy when Richie was out originally, probably on the road to get made, similar to Chris. So I thought it was really interesting. What are some things that you gathered from this interaction, this short interaction, might I say?
Tony was showing respect to the old school, like Richie, because he's an old school G. I didn't really get much from it. I think the Chris part was
huge.
What you get the most from him showing his respect. Him showing how he demands respect, how he handles stuff, giving that old school gangster type of way. And you're going through 3 generations there with. I'm sorry. Did you have anything for that before I got into the interaction? Because you were talking about.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you can go ahead. You can go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it showed that you're going through, like, again, 3 generations: Tony's
Mm-hmm.
generation, Chris's generation, and Richie's, which is different too.
Yeah.
And then him having the conversation with Christopher about Adriana and being able to lay the law down, still being able to do that
Mm-hmm.
old school style. But however, as soon as he get ready to talk business, Tony getting up and split. Like,
Oh man.
some stuff may be the same, but some
Mm-hmm.
stuff is different as well. And it's
Yeah.
just showing the clashing of the different generations of gangster. I
Yeah.
like that.
Man, great pool. That was fire. Would you say Uncle Junior's generation is the older generation from Jackie's?
Yeah, but I think he relates to him. I
Okay.
think Junior relates to Jackie Aprile.
Okay.
That's probably kind of, when he was Junior was probably in his heyday, and Jackie was a youngster. He seen him, saw something in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was interesting, he's like, hey, like he had the scoop on Chris. I was wondering, like, did Adriana tell him that? Or was it Paulie again? I was wondering how he kind of got that info.
That's a good question.
Um,
Probably, yeah, that is a good question.
you know what I mean? Because Paulie, but and then also just like, man, like, look, bro, like you lay your hands.
It was at a table though. I mean, like, it may have been them other two dickheads. He smacked in front of them two dickheads. Ain't no telling where they was running their mouth at. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no telling where they was running their mouth at or who they was running their mouth to.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I just didn't think they would even be close to the circle at any point. Like even when Tony last episode was like, bro, what are you niggas doing here? Like drove off, like y'all can get no respect, no interactions. Like,
well, because Tony wasn't supposed to be there, like literally, like
yeah,
they was running the spot hot. But I'm saying maybe they was in the bang or some shit like that over the talk. I'm thinking that's what I picked up on. But you're right too. As we tune more into this world, we see how much of a blabbermouth that Paulie is.
Because you can see him like, yeah, Patsy runs the thing down here. Oh, that Chris mud on, smacking this woman. You could totally see him like going on his rant. Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. So, but I thought it was an interesting thing, really old school here, where we'll get a reveal later down in seasons where Tony says that, like, look, I've never put my hands on you when he talks about Carmela as well as his kids. I mean, that'll be changed down the road, but more so Carmela. But Richie says to Christopher, if you're gonna be putting your hands on her, you better make sure you put a ring on it. Like, and then he leaves him off. And he's like, good kid. Totally different, like, understanding of what was okay. Because he came out of the can, I imagine that was a norm. And that makes me really interested in what him and Janice was like. We'll get there, but that makes me really interested when he said that, like, it was cool. That was just a little nugget that I thought was very interesting, talking about generations. But yeah, Tony, he gets out of there. He's Sonic the Hedgehog, that joint. And Seal steps in smooth, like, yeah, no, we ain't conducting business, not here, not now. So Melfi, there she's at the restaurant. The same. Is this Vesuvio's? It's just
that's another spot.
Okay, I about to say this didn't feel like it at all. It looked a lot more darker.
Down in the basement. I wonder what's going on. They didn't really say why they eating there.
Very
they usually give you a little tidbit.
And they got Johnny Sack there
or something. Oh, okay, yeah, so they must have been in New York. But no, Melfi was there. Yeah. He came over to holler at them probably.
Okay.
Or maybe she was out in New York.
Maybe. That would be a crazy link. Melfi is at the restaurant as well as the guys, the mob. They're having a conversation. She sees Tony and she's making small talk. We're making small talk now. And she says, Toodle-Loo, and she leaves. And they go on from there, kind of exploring lightweight who she is. What is, like, some pieces that you pick up here? Was there anything that kind of is set up for the future here in this thing?
In the restaurant scene?
Yeah.
Well, when she was talking to the psychiatrist.
Well, I guess that kind of probably, like, I guess in the restaurant
scene, yeah, I didn't really take too much from it. Obviously, Pussy thinking that was one of his gumas and that he was smashing, and no one really considering that it was psychiatrist. Johnny Sack look, though. Johnny Sack kind of gave I wonder what that's about look. Yeah. He knew it didn't look like nothing usual. And it just goes to show the smarts of Johnny Sack, too. Just even that look. After you've watched it through a couple of times, that look goes to show that, like, he had some thoughts as to who that was,
Mhm.
as to where pussy was just like, oh, it was just a piece of pussy. You know what I'm saying? Literally. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's the only thing that I picked up from, of course, other than the awkward way that Dr. Melfi acted.
Mm.
Yeah.
How okay, I'll wait till we get there because I'll call back kind of her behavior. I want to see how much it was lined up to what her therapist said. But did we get that classic line I made a meme about? This is hilarious. You know, he said I would recognize those lips like anywhere. Says she got pipe filter lips, like that's the old DSL line from the 2000s. I never Big P. He was like,
oh yeah,
she got pipe fitter lips. So I'm like, yo, they go crazy on Melfi right now. Uh uh then Paulie, one of his best bars, but then he immediately kills it. Hey, Sil, you remember your first blowjob? How long did it take for him to come? Dude. Hey, Tony, did you hear that? I just said right
yeah,
there, bro. Oh, I'm so glad they went away from that. Like, but man, that was such a great line. Yeah, of course. How long did it, man, that had me dying on the floor. But yeah, yeah, that's about it. Just interesting behavior from Melfi. She with her girls. I thought it was interesting too. They was all drunk off one bottle of wine. Like, how lightweight are y'all, bro? Seriously.
That's funny.
That's crazy. One bottle of wine? Come on. Now we go over to Melfi and her therapist scene. This is our first reveal, huh?
Mm-hmm. She was there with her family at first.
Yeah, right. And it was a different, and it was a different guy.
Was that a different dude? This is the first time we seen this little smug asshole.
You think he's smug? Yes. Oh, it's because of that later scene, huh?
It's just period. Even in this scene, he's a smug asshole.
What you saying, like uppity, like?
Yeah, he's just like an uppity ass. Okay. Know it all to me.
He's a therapist. That's what they do.
Yeah, man. Even the way this nigga sipping his water bottle.
Oh my gosh.
He holding the top all funny and shit. Like, what is it he drinking?
Yeah, bro, relax.
It ain't even
dude.
Water in there. It ain't even water in the water. They got a big ass 42-ounce thing of juice.
It look like old honey, honey, I shrunk the kids looking boy.
He do look like dude.
But
Elliot.
That's always an interesting people named Elliot. But they have a conversation and she literally spins off the line about the Toodle-F thing. And so she's trying to understand why she was acting that way. And he says, basically, you dropped the Dr. Melfi alias and operated from Jennifer's standpoint. Do you agree with this? Do you think that's what it was?
I do. I do think that that's what there was. And he made a good point as to where she was reverting back to her normal self. Well, you just said this too, versus her doctor self, because she didn't really see him as a patient no more. She hadn't seen him in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So she was probably excited that she's seen him. You know, she didn't know what to say and stuff like that. Because again, Tony is a illuminating figure. Like he's very, very polarizing. So her seeing him out like that with his friends and his boys, knowing she had to speak, it probably gave her a little rush. She didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So I can see that.
And that's very interesting because last time we get a couple of encounters first season when, like, I don't know, maybe the first, second episode, but Melfi sees him at the old Vesuvio's, and then also when she was at Cusimano's house and she was looking at his house, and then, you know, they seen each other in the session, and he was like, you seen my house? He kind of got a kick out of that. Like, so it is kind of, like you said, talk about that kind of charm, that kind of magnetic personality that he has. I think it's really interesting here too that she came in here looking like really attractive. I'm like, I don't know what was going on here where and then even her talk is different. So it really lines up to the Jennifer thing. And I almost think we got to look at her from the Jennifer standpoint until they link back up. So at this point, she's really Jennifer Melfi because we don't see her door that says Dr. Melfi. We don't get her addressed as Dr. Melfi. So I almost feel like this is like a stage where she's Jennifer Melfi at this point. So we almost look at her like this. Even her, like I say, her talk, because when she talks with Tony, she has that therapy voice. When she doesn't, like with the family, she kind of talks a little more loose, a little more, cuss words, a little loose, a little more Italian, slang with it a little bit. And instead of being a generic broad, like she says when she is with Tony. But I like this scene. This is to be transparent. This is where I got the idea that I think therapists need a therapist. This is where it came from. So, but shouts out to your man's that we had a conversation with that he dispelled that belief for me. So I don't believe that anymore. But I did it because of this show. So we get Janice at the yoga class, and she goes down doggy. And she looks over and she sees Rishi April. What did you get from this scene right here? Because this is like way out of this is very civilian like right now. Was it intentional that Rishi was here, or did he just genuinely do this because he's been doing meditation in the last stint in prison, and they just happened to be there?
I think they dropped that meditation tidbit so it wouldn't be weird that he was there, but I do think that he went there looking for Janice. I definitely think that he went there looking for Janice as part of his plans.
Okay. So she changed her name. This was crazy. She changed her name in 78. So he was like she was like Pravati. He was like, oh, okay. So it's wild because I did the math. She would have had to been like 18. So it goes back to the conversation we had last week about her wanting to get so far away from the Soprano name and Soprano family. And yet it draws her back in. We get that every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. That's a theme as well. So it's interesting. She changed her name that far back. It's like, dang, as soon as you got out the house, Pravati. What is this thing between Janice and Rishi? Because he has to be at least 15 years older than her. And they had a thing back then. So I just was like, And that's just me guessing 15 years. Now they come from the era. I mean, he's much older. I mean, because okay, we'll get a little bit of reveal kind of how, well, I think maybe even the next theme, how Rishi was talking about how little Tony was. And because Rishi's much older than Jackie, I'd imagine. Like, I don't think they're close. I think Jackie's more in the Tony age. Like, I think I looked it up, and I think Tony and Carmela and them, they're probably supposed to be about 35, somewhere like that. You know, Janice maybe a year or two older. So that's why I start kind of doing the math. I should have threw it on my notes here, but it works because she was a legal age. I think I get the reveal later down because I think I wrote it down later. Well, I think she may have been 26 or something. But I get there. I just thought it was interesting. Anything else you gather from the yoga scene though?
Rishi was born in 45. He was 55. And Janice was. They don't got Janice. How old every Sopranos character is.
Well, maybe you get Tony's age. That'll probably, because she can't be no more than 2 years older at most. Because she definitely didn't give us that. Like, she was tremendously older.
Tony Soprano was 39 or 40 at the start of Sopranos and 47 when it ended. So he would have been about 42.
42. Okay.
Yeah. In this season, he would have been 41 or 42.
Okay. All right.
And
so
little Janice would be like 44, 45.
And Rishi,
so 10 years older.
10 years, okay.
All right, about 10 years older.
I forget people don't age like black people. We pan over to the mall scene. And this is where Tony has agreed to meet with Rishi. He's in a little tech store. Oh, man, I just love looking at this mall. It took me back, bro, how the mall used to be. And this is where we have this meeting. And, you know, Rishi is pissed. A kid spilled rice all over him. He's mad. He's not understanding what's going on. But Tony, he's in full boss mode. And I'm loving this. And what a great location to do this, because you can't bug them all. It's just impossible. You're not gonna catch up with the mob, you know, at the mall. Like, it's not gonna happen. So great meeting location. What did you gather from this interaction between Rishi and Tony?
It was good. I feel like Tony felt like he needed to put him in his place, set some ground rules, let him know what was going on directly from him. why things are happening the way, and watch your fucking self. No, I'm
Mm-hmm.
the boss. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
handle this shit like I want to handle this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a cool of me. And then capping it off, like I said, it made me when he said something about Janice at the end, made me think that the yoga thing was set up by him.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Because he said, "How's your sister?"
Mm-hmm.
I guess okay. So maybe you know what? Maybe that's one of Richie's skill sets. Maybe that's like he's able to track people down. Like that may be because I mean he found Beansy later. You know, we're
He
gonna
been he been knowing what Beansy was at. He been knowing that was gonna be his first stop when he got out for years,
Well,
bro.
I mean, of course, the pizza joint, but I'm talking about like I don't think he was closing.
How you talking about when he?
Yeah, when he did the Suge
Mm,
Knight joint, you know. Um, but yeah, the generational differences really start to show even more. Richie would have conducted business on the spot, not knowing that like that's a popular spot they frequent. They're out in the open. Police probably know that's where they hang. They would have got all of the info. And Richie, if he was boss, would have been right back in there, right back.
yeah.
Conspiracy right there. Boom, got him. You know what I mean? So Tony is trying to keep going, keep from going and doing a bid. You know what I mean? They go back and forth. Richie says, "What's mine is yours to. What's mine is not yours to give me." Boy, I was. That's why I knew. I said, "Oh yeah." See, Tony. You know what I appreciate about Tony here is Tony. We talk about Patsy, and Patsy ain't that dude. He acting tough, but that ain't him. But Tony, this is really who he is. Like, I understand. I've given you the respect. I've reached my hand out, and you slap it down. I'm trying to do this the right way because I know you come from that my father's generation. You may have been under that or whatever. You come from the old school. I got it, but recognize this. You know what I mean? I'm the boss. And he'll get there later. Like respect, I respected like your brother when he was in it. Respected. It is mine to give you. You know what I mean? You lucky I let you earn, just like you did with Uncle Junior, bro. What you think this is? Uncle Junior was the face. You coming in, stepping in like you over. You ain't even. You know what I mean? So I just love how Tony's like, no, I'm really about that. Like I'm not backing down. I'm not softening up. I'm not scared of you, even though he's a wild card, crazy. But uh, yeah, I just love that. And Tony reveals that Beansy's Pizza place is a cash business. So is that a place they launder, or I guess I was trying to understand. I think they get the receipts and stuff like that. When people say
Right.
cash business, is what they mean.
Yep. Give him straight kickbacks. Yeah, straight cash. Not a lot of tax shit that he have to figure out and do.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So yeah,
That's a major money maker for Tony. Like get the fuck, and that's why Beansy carried himself like that because he know that he paying Tony good.
yeah.
I
No,
pay
he
for top of the line protection. I don't even know why you in here, Richie April. You take your dusty ex convict ass on somewhere else.
he was definitely dusty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I get it, but I think he forgot. Like, bro, you're not covered right now, bro. You know, like,
Type of money he's looking at, the type of money I'm paying, I ought to be covered all the time. Like everybody goddamn I know my name down wherever y'all hang at.
boy, man, Patsy. We get a small scene. Janice pulls up to her mom's Livia's house, and she get looking at the mail. What in the world is this song they're playing, bro? Like what
Yeah,
in
I
the
know that's so.
world, bro? Somebody probably like this is a symbolism of I don't know, bro. Like, but like this song was trash. What is she on, bro? Like she don't know who she is, bro. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
providing, but you're Janice when it comes to Tony. You playing this weird music. She's so she's so. Oh man, it's funny how she even turned out that way. But so she's excited when she reads the mail because she got $200 check from disability. So she's excited about that. Um, Janice is not the person to clean up someone else's mess versus Tony. That's the thing I got from this scene. When she opened the door, looked in and seen that, I'm not cleaning this up. I'm out. Did you gather anything from this scene? This little short pull up?
No, I think mine was in the other scene when she pulled up next and kind of Meadow heard her talking about how she viewed her. I don't think Meadow minds her getting over her parents, but I don't think that she wants the world, as we would see later on, like she don't want those or other people outside of their household looking at her like a manipulative little
Mm.
bitch.
Mm.
But if it's Tony and Carmela, who cares? She don't really care about what they think. But if Janice coming in here, who thought she was cool and this nice, smart little teenage girl,
Mm-hmm.
she come in here and starts spewing all of this shit around, and it kind of affects Meadow differently.
Yeah. It's funny. Tony says, "I thought you didn't swear." Like, oh, I forgot. You don't eat meat. You don't eat pork in that way. Like Tony doesn't forget a thing, bro. That's the funniest thing, except for like we get a later scene where he all of a sudden forgot a phrase, like, "Oh, I said that." But Janice way out of pocket. You know what I mean? Coming in, disrupting their parenting system, and Tony is over it. Like he is like, bro. It's so interesting because when Tony gets mad, it's like I don't think he be mad at what the real issue is. He's mad about something else. You have you noticed that with him and Janice? Like Carmela's mad at the issue. Damn it, Janice! How many times I got to tell you? When it comes to me and my kids, mind your in business. Like, but when it comes to Tony, he's sitting there, he's getting in her face. Stop, basically, stop lying, stop faking like you here. You knew what you was here for. Like, he's just mad for something completely different. Does it seem like that to you?
Yeah, he's mad at her overall presence because he's been
Oh,
shocked by her plenty of times before. He know that was the thing when she first pulled up
yeah.
with the car in the house. He know that with Janice is always something. Like I'm you trying to get something out of me. That's your whole scheme. You've been like that since day one. So he always is seeing a couple of steps ahead of what she's trying to do. He thinks he is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's not. But yeah,
Mm.
he knows. He's always weary of what else Janice got going on.
Okay. Uh, Carm snapping like this is to me is very reminiscent of a black mom. Like I could not tell you how close I have seen black mamas like that. Keep
Like
mind you,
Carmel.
yeah, like that moment when she snapped on about don't talk about my kids, bro. I promise you, my mom was about to fight a woman when I was a little boy because she almost hit me in a Walmart parking lot, bro. And she
Get you your
snapped.
car.
Yeah, well, she was just pulling out, but she didn't. I guess she didn't see me when we, cars just pulling back out of a parking spot, and my mom lost it on her, bro. And from that point, I knew she was like, bro, she did not play about her kids. So when she did that, I was like, bro, that felt very reminiscent of the black mom attitude. And it's crazy because Janet's so tough. She got snapped on by Tony, still was going, and had to again still kept going and got snapped on by Carmela. It took a grip for her to finally come off that. Like she's that tough almost where I can handle a thrashing from both of y'all. I'm still not phased. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
she kind of that's big gangster energy for her.
Yeah,
You
Janice a
know.
big dog.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Of course, like we said, Meadow gets a little sneak peek or whatever that is, and it's funny how she playing a different tune to lean into her advantage. But yeah, we go over to the doctor's office. We get Junior and his doctor appointment, referring back to what happened in the last episode when he fell in the bathtub trying to shave or whatnot, and here we are. We're the doctor scene. So what did you get from this? We get who comes in? Richie April. Very interesting because it's two different embraces. He hugs Junior, but with Tony, he grabs Tony's face, but Tony grabs his face back. Two different embraces. What did you gather from this scene?
The different generational thing again. He respects Junior because Junior came a little bit before him, has a little bit more knowledge. And even when Junior was telling him about the, how things are to talk with Tony and shit now,
Mm-hmm.
he was kind of giving him that information.
Okay.
Like it, it was the small Richie didn't respect a lot of people, but he showed Junior some respect there.
Yeah. Uh Definitely Junior tells the doctor that he has been feeling some other things, but he's quickly dismissed. You think that's some foreshadowing?
I didn't pick up on nothing like that.
It was right before
I know
Richie,
what you're saying, but I ain't pick up on no foreshadowing. Foreshadowing, no
well, a later condition of Uncle Junior's
No.
because he didn't get to go into what it was, and the doctor just kind of dismissed Junior before he could get into it when he said, "I've been feeling some other things," but he just quickly dismissed it. So I don't know. I didn't know if that was like a breadcrumb to something or not. So I just thought it was a quick little detailed line. crazy line right here. Big pause worthy right here. Put a shirt on. I'm getting a chubby. It's that he told Junior put a shirt on. I'm getting a chubby. Is crazy, bro. I don't. I was like, I don't know what he means, but that is.
We talking about the man tits, man. He got man tits that
Oh, okay.
sad.
I was like, bro.
Old
I
man
was like,
tits, yeah.
okay. Like,
That's
I thought he was
fucking
trying to like fake, like the fake gay turtle joke, bro. I thought it
nah,
was
you know
crazy.
how that's white people jokes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hilarious. There's they live in interesting times. That's a quote. Junior says, and Richie, he cannot get past the times that used to be, which I thought was a very interesting because Junior's in these times and he understands what's up, but Richie cannot get past that. So, but I think this is a huge ego boost for Junior. He needed this a lot, especially with Mikey being gone. He needed that ego boost, and Richie came through in the clutch with just looking out and be like, hey, yo, look, whatever you need, bro. Like, I got you. So, yeah. Richie, they throw a party for Richie. We getting a, we getting a rapper party. You know what I'm saying? We got bottles. We got women. We got jokes. Jokes? We got jokes. And we got Jerry Seinfeld back for this season as he was doing his jokes last season at Green Grove. So it looked like he didn't upgrade it a little bit here, but nobody's feeling the jokes. Funny scene. He gets to going into what Paulie said to him, and they cut him off. What did you get from the scene, bro? Because there's little tidbits I thought was really interesting about this.
About the joke, dude.
Yeah, because it
I've always hated this scene. Like anytime I rewatch this, I've never understood why it was there.
like the joke
So
part of it, the whole scene.
you have insight of it. Yeah, any of it. This was just like totally random to me. Every time I rewatch this, it's like, dude, why is this here?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of they just do that abstract thing where two things are going on at once. And I think that's probably kind of a nod to like the mafia where they can be somewhere eating a great dinner and laughing, but they're actually not there for the dinner. They're for some reason, something else. But yeah, he starts to get to this joke about people thought Richie was in Bosa or something like that, and then he gets to go there. And then Paulie told me, then they say, cut it, bro. And he went crazy, bro. The jokes, he makes me laugh, bro, because his jokes are so bad. But anyway, they're throwing this party for Richie. What did you gather from? They're looking out. They're all giving Richie a little envelope, and they're looking out. The lady's crazy, bro. This is topless joint. But what did you gather from them giving them envelopes and stuff? And then there's a dude. I don't even know who this guy is. He's kind of like a heavier set dude, but like they're having this back and forth where Paulie tried to get something off on this dude, and this dude wasn't feeling it. And so he goes in the back room with these women, and he ain't getting off. What did that mean to you? Because I can tell you what I thought my first time around.
He been in jail, fucking man.
Okay.
That's what it is. What it meant to me is what I
Okay.
thought. What you think?
Same thing. I mean, I guess that's it. I guess I was gonna say gay, but I mean, I guess that's
been in jail, fucking man.
Yeah,
they don't call it gay though. To them, it's not gay.
Yeah,
remember Tony said,
"Yeah,
you guys in 10 years. What are they supposed to do?"
Yeah, what do you want me to do?
Okay,
bro. I guess he couldn't get a chubby.
That's crazy. That's probably why he told Junior that. That probably was a lead in for the Junior joke. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
That's I'm sorry, it's hilarious, bro. Crazy. But yeah, it kind of made me hard. It made it a harder situation to understand. Kind of.
Oh, Jesus. Coming off of that, Jesus.
Pause. Let me just move on. I'm just gonna move on. Please do. So Richie, he could get involved with the women ladies, and so that's the end of that. He left with that, and they was like, "Oh, well, you can't. Is there a problem?" And nothing. They're like, "Look," and he's like, "Well, no, they told us." He's like, "Nah, But I think it's an interesting thing that they say this line. Paulie said it last season on the Legend of Tennessee Montesanti, talking about getting their joints copped. I thought that's a slick way to say, getting it in or whatever. I thought that was slick. We get Richie and Beansy again. Man.
Poor Beansy, man.
Oh man. Cause he already got a patch on his eye from the coffee mug. And now we got this thing. And this was rough, bro. I can't tell you. I mean, I imagine so many people hated Richie after this. I know his character was like super hated because they putting everything into this introduction. But what you think about this scene?
Yeah, it made me think Richie was a piece of shit, man. I felt sorry for Benzie the first time watching this every time through, man.
Mm-hmm.
Guy was just trying to get some money, and this crazy fucking psychotic asshole runs him over with a fucking car, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's bullshit.
Yeah. This is
life, man.
This is what I was talking about. That's why I said this is just a glimpse into how crazy he used to be. This is what I was referring to earlier, where he's like meditation and so you think about when I first saw this, I thought he had some kind of weird man crush on Beansy. Because I promise, because I was like, bro, you going way too crazy over like what? What does he owe you? Like, what does he owe you?
Part of that business. He think without him, he wouldn't have had that business.
Right, which is just I feel like a wise guy, whatever. But he's not even out. Beansy's not even in that thing. Like the thing of theirs, like he wasn't that dude. He was a young kid.
But he was looking at it like I'm part founder owner in this, man. Like you ought to be breaking me off an annual percentage. Like I should have been getting hit off when I was in jail for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he maybe gave him the money to start it or something crazy.
Probably did. I mean, because Beansy said like it's not my fault. Basically, like y'all spent up y'all money and I used mine for this business. So you mad at me for what, bro? But I mean, this scene to me, hands down, for anybody that play video games, bro, this feels like Grand Theft Auto right here. Like the dialogue, the whole scene where he's running after him across the street, it feels like the loading screen, like of a, it really felt like Grand Theft Auto to me, bro. I promise you. And I thought Richie, once he got away a little bit, I thought Richie was gonna let her go. I was like, okay, that's it. But I couldn't believe this dude was still going after him. And I mean, if I was Beansy, I've been getting all the way to the Soprano house, bro. But I mean, we'll find out that, because I'm like, I need to get there now. You need to get your boy together because he about to do some serious damage. And I almost kind of wondered, because he just seemed immediately angry out of nowhere. I feel like there's some built up anger from leaving the Bing. You think that had anything to do with this? Because it came out of nowhere.
What?
Some built up leaving the Bing for Richie. Because he already kind of looked frustrated. He kind of looked like, man,
maybe this gets him off versus that. Maybe this is the thing that gets him off because he looked like he was satisfied after this happened.
Yeah, because then the gun scene,
maybe shit like this gets him off.
He's really crazy. We have no idea what it's like because this guy he's something else. But I think they really, I mean, man, the actor, man, David Proval, great job, man. I mean, he really looks crazy, bro.
Yeah, he couldn't have played Tony. He didn't have a regular side. He didn't have a regular side.
Side.
America loves. The reason America loves Tony Soprano because he is like a soccer dad.
Mm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? He ain't really just like, dude is a gangster for real. Richie April is a fucking gangster.
Yeah, you're right. It would have been wise guy just at home. Like, it wouldn't have been no, like Tony, when he's at home, you're not looking at him like a wise guy. You're right. You're looking at America's dad like, you got an Italian phrase, you do something once, you lose two teeth. Like, he looks like a regular dude eating cereal. Yeah. Uncle Ben's rice, some gabagool.
Yeah, I couldn't picture Richie April doing none of that.
No, I couldn't. Everybody got. Now, what you gonna say? What?
Maybe that's because of the picture they painted of him, but I just couldn't picture him doing any of the normal shit and looking at him like, because Tony is relatable. That's the reason that James Gandolfini got that part. It's like he an everyday dude, but still has that other side to him.
Yeah,
I don't think Jackie or Richie had that. It didn't look like.
I definitely think if it was between two, Jackie would have been a close. And even Johnny V, I believe that's his name, that played Artie Bucco, he went out for Tony Soprano too. Now he probably could have got the family
closer
side.
To,
family side, but not the gangsters.
Them, but
Or maybe could have. I don't know. Maybe could have gotten the gangster. I would love to see the reels. If there's any reels of them trying out some takes, I would love to see that.
Mm.
But yeah, great pull. I think James Gandolfini, the common Italian white dad, balding, kind of got a little dad bod. It's perfect, bro. Perfect casting. Janice and Carmela have a talk here. A little sentimental moment, maybe not. What did you think about this little conversation between them two?
Both of them kind of waving the white flag. Like, look, I'm not here to beef with you.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't here to beef with me.
Yeah.
We ain't got to be friends, but we can still be cordial enough to get stuff accomplished.
Yeah.
That's what I took from that.
You ever been there before? Just like, dang, all right, people, this is my people. Like, I don't want to. We ain't got to the whole trip ain't got to be this way. Let's squash it. Let's keep it pushing. Like, we ain't got to be this. Maybe not, because I mean, you probably be more so like, I'm just gonna let it ride before anything, before I even get to that level of that probably
even get to that. Yeah, I ain't finna be
I can kind of see that. Like, you had to be more invested. You would
right.
That's why I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting that. Like, that's a part of it. But I did like the idea of this. I still don't think Janice was fully. It's so hard. And I don't know it's because we don't follow her like we follow Tony. It's hard to know because, like I said, we know majority of these characters align on time, but there's moments of genuineness. If we're going to call it a 10%, I just don't know where her 10% comes in. That's my challenge always with Janice. I just never know with her. You kind of know at moments with Carmela, you know at moments with Tony, and then some of the other characters, that little 10% of, okay, they're actually being genuine there. I never know with Janice. I don't know.
She does a good job of hiding. She about like Tony. I think she's a better version of Tony. She hides it as well as Tony does.
Okay,
but sometimes you can't tell with Tony, right?
No, I think you kind of can now watching it, and that's why I say because we follow him more, so we get in more nuance and complexity versus Janice.
That's right.
But yeah, they kind of make up here, but I know the wheels are rolling for her, and she got to make a play. This is a fly outfit by Carmela too. This little baby blue joint, the little short, track suit, whatever, or 2-piece with the yellow, with the chain. Yeah, she was fly right here. And of course, so Beansy, he's creeping around the corner. This turns into a horror movie right here.
At the very least, I agree with you though. Beansy should have had that strap. I'm shooting at Richie. Like, even if I ain't know it was him. I ain't know he wasn't made dude. Like, he at least can shoot at it.
But you don't think he would? His life would? You don't think he would got killed?
They definitely would have killed him if he shot. If he shot Richie.
See, that's why I think it was so unfair for him, because it's like,
they definitely would have killed him.
That's why they established early in the pizza scene where he's a made guy. They established like, oh, okay, he's untouchable. I think that's what made it so hard, because like, bro, I got to play defense the whole time. I got to be on the run. And I hated that for him, because it's like, we'll get to the hospital joint, but like, and he comes through and then he runs him over and then reverses. Golly, bro. That is
thing on him, man.
I mean, he been out of jail for a week from maybe a little over a week from what they said at the dinner place. And that was that, man. That was, it still felt like Grand Theft Auto to me. Yeah. So we just pan over. We get a real small scene with Meadow and Hunter, and they're in the kitchen cooking. Are they high, bro? Is this what this is?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we just thinking this is just weed or whatever? This ain't no ecstasy or nothing. Like, they weren't leading us to believe it was.
I don't know. It could have been though.
Because
ecstasy, a music drug.
Really?
Yeah, you love music when you're on ecstasy. You listen to it all night. You hours straight, like just flat out in the zone. Wow. Like the music, when the music stops, it's like you're like the saddest you've ever been in your life. For real, bro. Like, music is like one of the most adding and contributing things to ecstasy. The music.
See, that's what makes me kind of curious, because she's like, I could have did ecstasy. And so we already know she did.
Probably did do ecstasy.
That's kind of
why she was acting like that, probably.
Yeah, because I mean, first season we get her. She got drunk. you know, and she also did crystal or Ritalin or whatever that is, meth, whatever you said it was. And then here we don't really know what it is because now she not getting hooked up with no drugs from Christopher no more. So they're high, but we don't have no idea. But I imagine Hunter must have been the plug, or she knew somebody that
Yeah.
or whatnot. So, but yeah, they just making a mess, spilling everything everywhere, and that's pretty much it. But they're playing No Scrubs, so we get a second black played song this episode. We got the Ja Rule song earlier, now we got No Scrubs from TLC. And then we go to Livia in the hospital. I believe this is our first scene with Livia. It kind of felt it was a breath of fresh air not having her in here so much. Richie pops up and he visits.
Surprise.
He is making his stops around here. What is Richie's intention here?
He knew Janice. He's trying to get at Janice.
Oh, okay.
He knew Janice was going to be there because he asked about it when he got there. And I think that he thinks that Janice is his way in over Tony for some reason. I don't know why yet, but I think that he thinks that's his one up on Tony. If I can get his sister, then, I can kind of have some reign.
Maybe you think that was like an old school method back in the day, like if the boss dies, I'm married to the sister, I'm next in line type of situation.
Well, no, I'm just closer. Like I get an inside, like I'm coming to family dinners now. I got his ear now. I can be here because Janice is gonna be here. I'm her man.
Yeah,
it just gives him an inside. You know what I'm saying?
Like a Bobby Bacala treatment.
Yeah. But see, Bobby wasn't even trying to play it that way.
Nah, he wasn't trying to play it that way,
but that's how Richie is trying to play it. Same thing with when it gets to it later. Your other man, same way he was trying to play it.
Oh yeah, right.
He wanted it. He tried to play it the same way. He knew it then. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Great pull. I didn't pick that up because I guess I was trying to. I didn't know how much of this was contingent on their history. He been in jail for a long time.
And it then probably had something to do with their history, yes, but he still understood the benefits of it today.
Yeah.
Even more so. He probably was just fucking her back when he was older than her. She was young.
Yeah, for sure.
Gonna smash her out. Yeah, she probably was. Yeah,
he was getting it off.
Easy buckets. Yeah, some easy buckets. Easy little wreck work, man. Janice probably
getting the young Janice off.
Yeah. Now it's gonna help him though. It's beneficial now.
He was getting that Parvati. Yeah. That's crazy. Oh man, Richie was a crazy boy back then, boy. Oh man,
boy.
And he probably also needs that as a and I know they're not hyper emphasizing it, but now that we're watching in slow-mo, you probably need something on your side to kind of cover up, your bid, your preference, I guess. Maybe that's a thing too. Like
he probably heard she was crazy too. Or back in the day when he was fucking her, he probably knew she had some crazy shit in her, and she probably be with the wild shit that he was with.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. So then it's like you can kind of float it. Like I thought you were into this. Like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So he can get that off. So it's like, but anything else was not an option at this point. It never was optional in this world. But he comes in and she like, who are you? Like, looking at him crazy, Livia, and he ain't really with it. He like, one day someone gonna wash your mouth out with soap, and she's like, who, you? Like, gangster. I was like, I like that. I did like that from Livia. I did like that. Yeah, she's like, I don't what? Like, she waiting on the Lord to take her. She ain't tripping about none of y'all, bro. Janice, she almost can't stand her as much as Tony, you know what I mean? Like, if not more. I still don't know who can't stand, because Tony was possibly going to smother his mother with a pillow, and Janice was possibly going to throw her mother down the stairs. So I really don't know who has a higher level of hatred for their mother. I don't know. It's just something
I think it's evenly distributed. She was a terror. Yeah, like even the other sister, though we didn't see her trying to kill her, she hated her too. Yeah, we saw that at the barbecue a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, you're right. Janice speaks about blame. It is someone else's fault. But Richie old school. He didn't come empty-handed. Came with the flowers and stuff, and it says that they were together 20 years ago. So that's where we get the info, and then you've already revealed that. Kind of the age gap, I guess a 10-year gap or whatever. So But one thing I did gather, I'm assuming, because she's like, we were bad for each other back then. Why would basically like why would it work now? I'm assuming that they had a really toxic relationship back then. Him being as
Sounds like it.
crazy as he is, and her being just such a free spirit, but having
As
that them.
crazy as she is too.
Oh
Don't
man,
dismiss her crazy. She crazier probably.
yeah, and he might. I don't know. I mean, he's a menace, bro. He's really a menace to society in this world, for real.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes, yes, yes,
definitely
yes,
old dog
yes.
like. Um, But yeah, anything else you take from this scene other than like, kind of touching up in history and I guess like you said, the play he's building here.
No,
Okay.
no.
Um, he's playing it smooth. I did like I will say I did like that they gave us a little bit more chill. We did need because all the characters they need to be like 3-dimensional. So we did get this side of Richie where he was softened up and it's like, I've been meditating. You think the old Richie, you would have seen him doing downward dog. And so I think we needed that soft touch. He couldn't be straight menace because he probably we probably he wouldn't have made it that long, in this world with how the era is. The interesting times as Junior claimed it. So I did like that they gave him a little soft touch, which is pretty true to life. It's like normally gangsters when they get with women, they're a little bit more softer because I mean there's no need for me to be tougher right here because I'm amongst a woman. So but we go over to the Soprano house and it looks like it's morning again. They're having a conversation and this is where um Meadow really, I think this is where she really pissed me off. Like yeah, she just really just like, how many times I gotta say it? It wasn't my fault.
Ain't
Like,
my fault, god damn it.
cause she was going back and forth with Tony the night she picked him up at the beginning of the episode. I'm like, yo, she is wilding, bro.
She must really not believe it's her fault though.
She has to. Like she's tripling down on it. Like, I told you it's not my fault, bro.
Like we were just supposed to be over there chilling. I didn't know she was gonna invite all these people.
Yeah. And it's like, what
From
do
a
you do as
kid,
a six?
from a kid's logic though, that's correct. Like she
Yeah,
like
that's
a
true.
kid's logic. Think about you at 16. You're like,
16.
well, shit. I just told my homeboy to come. I ain't know like
Yeah.
he was gonna invite 3 people and they was gonna invite 5. Like you would try to get that off as a kid.
Yeah, that's true. This Meadow really, I should have started another ranking system of like most hated characters and like how they keep switching because this where this episode she started to slide up. She still wasn't at Livia level, but she definitely started sliding up here for me for a while because I really couldn't stand Meadow for a long time, but we'll get more into that as we get down the road. Carm says that I'm not throwing her out. I'm a Christian. And Tony says, well, it works out. She's a Buddhist. I thought it was funny. It harkens back to the first season, fake dot head. Like that. As soon as I heard him say that, I just went back to that. No disrespect to those though that are a part of that religion or nothing like that. But I just thought that was an interesting cohesion to the first season and tying it back there. It's even funnier as a later scene where Tony talks about I'm a devout Catholic. So crazy. Then we go over to was there anything else you gathered from this scene? Oh, okay. Okay, then we go over to Melfi. We see Tony in a car and he's driving and he's having an attack and he's trying to get to his destination. And then before you know it, Tony passes out behind the wheel and flies through the windshield and crashes into a semi. Then we find out, oh, nah, pump fake. It's Melfi, subconscious in her dream telling her something. And she wakes up and she writes a note about it. What did you gather from this scene?
Usually it's Tony that has these dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if, other than this one, if we've seen anybody else dream sequence. So I thought it was interesting that we got
Christopher.
Christopher, so I think it's interesting that we got the dream sequence from Melfi and what that meant to how she felt about Tony. Because as far as we could tell, Tony really wasn't having a lot of problems. He wasn't going through any the shit that he usually goes through that pisses and stresses him off. So I think it was interesting that she was getting this dream that she needed to reach out to him.
Yeah. Do you think there's any arrogance there? Feeling like she could save him type deal? Like,
Yes,
He
absolutely.
needs me so much. He
Absolutely.
died. If without me, he
Absolutely.
would die. Like almost.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
because I show it's like relax, Jennifer. um,
Absolutely. You didn't think that?
think what?
What you just asked.
Like, oh, yeah, I definitely thought it was arrogant. I was like,
It
all right,
was.
like, because I think that she's her subconscious is saying that he needs me, but I think her self-conscious I still feel like there's some feelings there. I do, like, some kind of way. I'm not saying she wants to be so romantically involved, but I still think that there is some feelings there. I really do. I think there's some kind of care she has for Tony Soprano. So, but I definitely think it was arrogant. I thought it was even interesting because I was considering keeping me a dream book, because she had like a book where she wrote a dream down. I was like, I be having dreams fairly often, off and on, and I'm like, man, I should really write them down because I kind of forget certain details after the spot, like most people. So I thought that was just an interesting and smart thing to have a dream book next to you. I'm in Beansy. Peter, that's what we find out his name is Peter, man. We see Peter, he's hospitalized, man, and they got him in here like RoboCop, bro. He's down bad right now, bro. And it looks like that's his wife and his mother. They're in there crying. This is a rough scene, man. I hated it so much for Cause like, bro, he's low key civilian. Like, he's really on the ups. Bless you. He's on the ups. Like, he's the definition of what we in the black people would be like. Yo, that he got his money out the streets and he went corporate. You know what I mean? He owns his own business. So, but man, what did you think about this thing? Seeing the damages, man.
I think it was interesting that he had got pushed to a point where he was willing to tell. And Tony
Yes.
was like, no, we don't turn on our own or whatnot. And Tony having to really hammer that home.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that it's important and the reason that people need to stay in their places when we're talking about Richie. Because now you have this guy who, like you said, is a civilian who's seriously thinking about going to the police. Him going to the police, that opens up a whole nother can of worms for Tony. So now Tony's in a situation like, when do I got to kill this motherfucker now? Because he's thinking about going to the police just because Richie's a dumbass. So it goes to show the different layers of things that happen when somebody gets out of line and is not following the chain of command.
Absolutely. It definitely becomes a headache, a thorn for Tony. And it's a tough spot because it's like, Tone, like, bro, I'm trying to honor the code, but I'm not a made guy. I'm not in this thing of ours. I'm not a mob guy, bro. I'm an ex drug dealer. I sold a little H, like most people did, and I turned it into a business. And then we'll see he'll get another business later down the road. It's like, bro, I'm not really here for that. Like, I'm trying to respect it, but I just hated it and felt bad for him more than anything because he's put in such a tight spot. He already got it bad. This has been a nightmare. And it's like, bro, I don't feel protected. Like, you got to do something ASAP because if I leave here, I may die. And if I say something, I'm going to die. So I'm forced to lose the working of certain limbs and not say nothing because there's nothing else I could do. This is my life now. I hated it for him, bro. I just was, ugh.
Yeah, he got a raw deal.
He did. He really did. And his wife, when she left, she was like, yeah, go ahead, talk to your friend, which I think is interesting. Friend of ours type, kind of play on that. But I think Beansy is a friend. We talk about how many friends did Tony have. I think Beansy's a friend.
Definitely
but
not.
No friend. No, okay.
No.
But there was a funny line here. He couldn't blow his nose, and he's like, all right, your nose is as far as I'm willing to go. And they both laugh about it, which I thought it was like kind of a nice little humor moment, but it's not really funny at this moment, but it was just a funny way to kind of break the ice, and I really like that. And Beansy says he's lucky I'm not a rat. You know what I mean? But
it speaks to Tony, and it speaks to Tony's charisma. Yeah. Still being able to make him laugh in this situation. That's why he's boss. Small stuff like that.
Yes. It is because he has the right charm to balance. And that was Uncle Junior's problem. He didn't have that kind of charm. It was my way or the highway without kind of like having nuance. Yep. And Junior didn't have a wife. He didn't have kids, so he don't have certain understandings of relationships. He never had a steady relationship with a woman, according to what we've seen through Many Saints and The Sopranos. So he don't understand like certain compassion and grace with certain people. But yeah, man, damn, Peter. We go back to the mall again. And interestingly enough, Tony meets up with Richie, and Richie is staring at a bra and panties store. Very interesting. I don't think I caught that before. I don't know what that means or what he's trying to like insinuate there, but just a very interesting meeting spot. The first time Richie met Tony in a tech store. Yeah. This time, Tony met Richie in front of what looks like a Victoria's Secret style store. Very interesting. I'm picking up all kind of stuff now. What did you get from this interaction, man? Because we know we got the fire classic line right here, bro.
Which one? What fire classic line?
I ain't gonna cuss it, but I'm the mother one who calls the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in which we know inspired the Walter White line from Breaking Bad. I am the danger. We know it inspired that line, of course. I mean, we've seen edits and stuff like that, but he's like, hey, you're gonna respect me how I respect your brother as boss, or we're gonna have a problem. And I love that he said it because he's speaking to there's a structure to this thing. You talk about that old school bull. Okay, if we're talking about that old school bull, then you understand how the system works. Who's boss? When your brother was boss, I honored it and I did it the right way. I didn't go behind Jackie. And I believe Tony did not go behind Jackie back. I think he only did that with Junior because Junior really wasn't the fit boss. And Jackie, I don't know how I can't remember how I got so complex where Tony was like working under Junior, but Junior got it because they kind of gave it to him, but it really wasn't his time or whatever.
Junior's time, I mean, Junior had it as far as namesake and longevity, but power and strength, it was Tony. He had a stronger crew. More people looked up to him. But it was that Junior was his uncle. He didn't want to disrespect from him. So since everybody felt like Junior deserved it, though he hadn't earned it, Tony went ahead and gave it to him.
Deserved it, but didn't earn it. Got you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and he's all up in his face, and it's so weird. Richie's looking so. I mean, he's looking at him so intense. He just has very intense eyes. Like, and that's just a very great character casting because you believe that he's that menacing. And I mean, we already seen him get it off. And I think this is probably the most menacing we get out of Richie. I don't think we get any more menace. This is the most menacing you're going to get out of Richie. And that's all you really need, Okay. And lastly, Tony, after he sets him straight, he makes a trip over to his mother's, Livia's house. And who does he find? Little Meadow in there cleaning up her own mess. And that is the end of our episode. Did you get anything from that scene about her cleaning up the house? Why did she even, is that tying back to the thing you were talking about that she cared about what Aunt Janice?
Yep. She cared about what Janice thought, not what her dad thought. And it was surprising to him that those words registered to her and what he says does. The look on his face when he turned around, like, damn, what was it that got to her? Okay, I'm not sure if he put 2 and 2 together. There was Janice shit, but he did recognize that something had gotten to her. And I think that was a good moment.
Okay. Because that's why I was trying to figure out, like, okay. And then also kind of seemed, it got through to her, and then it kind of seemed like, okay, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. When it comes to this parenting thing, we're gonna be all right. We ain't got all the answers, but we're gonna be all right. So all right. Well, that's our episode. Of course, y'all know that we leave a ranking system when we do these episodes. So the first and foremost, Spike, how do you rank this episode? Is it made, a good earner, or just another envelope?
This is a made episode.
Really?
Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's a good earner. It's a good earner episode.
Okay.
I couldn't remember which one was the highest. Then I seen your face when I said made.
I was about to say,
I had made a mistake.
I realized I made a mistake. That's funny.
Yeah. It's a good earner. It's a good earner.
Okay. So, but it's not just another envelope. So, and I that's exactly what I was gonna say. I would say it's a good earner.
Introduction of Richie Aprile goes a long way. Richie is a major character in this story.
Yes, and they did a great job at making us feel like he's been around. Like by the end of the episode, you kind of feel like
he established a presence very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yes.
He's like, dang, this Richie dude. And then they kind of kept jumping in and out of it. So The Good Earner Award. Who's the MVP of this episode? Who got the W, man?
Richie, man. Richie
Yeah,
came in and got to
Richie.
do whatever the fuck he wanted to do. Yeah, he didn't
He
really
got
get
to
to
get it
answer to
off. Huh?
nobody. Yeah, he got getting this shit off. He ran over a nigga. He finna fuck Tony White sister. Like he getting off.
He make it up for 20 years, boy.
Right.
Uh, hmm. I'm gonna say Janice, man. Janice, she got a little, she collect a little, she got a little $200 welfare. No, she got a little $200 disability check. She didn't really get thrown out. They kind of reneged on the thrown out situation, and then also the house is getting cleaned up, so it's getting prepared for Janice to move in. So, and then she might have a little boo thing, and so she might have a little boo thing being Richie, even though they probably was toxic back then. So she got her foot back into the mob. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. So she can get a foundation built. I can stay here. I can finesse. I can make some money. I feel like everything kind of worked out on a subtle. We don't get all of that, but the breadcrumbs was definitely there. I think we're gonna have the same one on this, man. But who gets the Broken Balls Award, man?
Yeah, my man with the store. What's his name?
Beansy.
Beansy. Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, Bean. There's nobody could take a bigger L than that. Like he was walking around talking about he'll step up and, bruh. And lastly, what was your favorite moment of this episode?
Unfortunately, it was him running over.
Dang.
This is
Wow.
memorable. This is one of the most memorable. This top 10 scenes throughout all 6 seasons. Like just running that man over like that for no reason, and the joy he took in it.
All right, the cigar in the mouth, like he was chilling.
Man,
like he was like, whatever, dude. I guess for me, it's the Carmela, man. The Carmela going off about her kids. Like the acting was so good. Like there's this thing she kind of did with her mouth where it kind of had the kind of like the shivery lip or whatever. Like I don't know, Edie Falco, but like they talk about like she didn't even have kids at this point. So it's very interesting how she took very motherly with the acting. But it's like she's like, damn it, Janice, I told you, stop talking about my kids.
Away from my kids.
Bro, like it's like it felt so almost like she took it personal, like she really had kids in real life. It just felt so real, bro. So yeah, that's my favorite moment. Let me get that here in a note so I don't forget. I learned this season, get it in the real time, because last time I had to go back and put everything in there. I was like, oh, that kind of took a while. So I get everything in real time. So that is our episode, Good Earners reviewing The Sopranos, season 2, episode 3, Toodle and Lou. Y'all can find us on Instagram, Good Earner Pod _Sopranos. Get your meme fix as well as DM us about the show. Y'all loving it, got questions, possible guests. We'll see your credentials. We always open to it. Also, y'all can email us, goodearnerpod@gmail.com if that's your preference. And don't forget, we're on YouTube, so you can check us out there too. Leave some comments in the videos, man. Share it with some people, man. We're giving y'all another perspective that's fun, fresh, fly, all that good stuff. Y'all needed it. Y'all didn't know y'all needed it till y'all realized y'all needed it. And we are here. Spike, anything you want to leave them with before we get out?
Forget about it. We out.